Hello, and welcome to the daily RS7 news. Hello, 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 hello.
Sectors, why are you lying?
Hi.
You can see
What?
right here, it's the RS7 logo. It is.
But we don't have any news.
Well, okay, so this year is 2015. That is correct, right?
That is correct, yes.
Happy New Year!
I believe this is the year of Resident Evil because next week we have Remaster getting released on basically everything. Like it was released last year for Japanese stuffs, but now it's getting released everywhere. And then next month we'll see the release of Revelations 2, and then later we'll see the release of RE5 for Steamworks. And I am going to
Yeah.
predict, I am personally going to predict now, 2015 is the year RE7 will be announced.
I agree it will be announced but not released this year.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So I
Yeah.
thought it would be a nice topic to like talk about what we personally want from RE7. And I also want to just quickly say thanks to Icewave because I stole a bunch of screenshots I'll be showing during the podcast from him because I want to have something to show during the podcast. So there'll be many screenshots. I'll just start off with my top idea, which I think this is super likely. I think everyone will agree this is the best idea. I think R7 should not even be called R7. It should be called Resident Evil Mercenaries. It should only have mercenaries. It's going to be a ton of mercenaries content, a lot of characters, a lot of stages. Again, it's going to be great. It's going to be the best game of all time. You guys
Okay.
agree?
That kind of goes along with one of my ideas. Can I add to it?
Sure.
Okay, one of the things I would like from Resident Evil 7 is to either completely redesign the multiplayer game modes or scrap them and put more focus on mercenaries, adding support for duo, 3 or 4 player games.
I very much agree with the whole just scrap versus thing because that just hasn't been amazing at any point.
I've never liked it.
Yeah, I can get down with like giving more co-op versus enemy modes rather than competitive stuff because it's never been that good.
But yeah, although, I mean, to be completely honest, like Resident Evil Mercenaries, I think it would be a great idea. I guess there's a tiny hope they'll do that at one point as a spin off, like they already did with Mercenaries 3D, but it was not amazing. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it isn't a very realistic goal. So basically, I have four ways I would be okay with, like, a new RE game going. Like, the first one was Resident Evil Mercenaries. Like, that is my ideal thing.
One more thing I want to add to mercenaries
What?
before we
Okay.
get off that topic. I want it to be designed for next generation capable technology where enemies will not slow down. You don't have to wait for them to spawn. The system can handle more than 5 enemies at a time. You don't have to time your kills. I want it to be hard to survive. I don't want it to be hard to keep a combo.
Well, I think it's very likely the next RE will be for next gen consoles and PC, but if that's the case, which I think it is, I think it's very likely they will just like go all out with graphics, and then like overall we might end up with the same quantity of enemies anyway. But anyway, like my second idea for what R7 should be is that, I mean, this one is pretty just straightforward, and I think this one might be the most likely as well. Like I don't mind that they just go the exact same route they're going now. Like just keep the same action style they're going with. Like keep some kind of unique melee system, and basically like RE6 just next step, just without QTEs and less scripting. Like I would be okay with another game in that style, and I think RE7 will be closer to that than anything else, to be honest.
I agree with that, except for what I'm gonna add is that I think it should it could have the same mechanics as RE6, but not the same layout. Like just one campaign,
Yeah,
not
yeah, I think, yeah. I mean,
a bonus campaign would be okay, but like the crossover thing, like I don't want that again. It was too messy to me.
I think they
I
must be
would,
aware that they went kind of all out with RS6 with budget and everything. So I think like the scale will be a little bit lower. That makes sense.
yeah.
I guess I'll just go through my list really quickly. So my third idea, and this one I don't think is very likely, but I would really like to see another, like at least one more RE in the style of remake and be able to be as good as remake, because remake is a pretty good game. That's a pretty good game.
Yes.
I wonder if that's why they went ahead and did remaster. the gauging interest in an older style of Resident Evil game?
I think that's just something they're doing. They did say in one of the behind-scenes videos that this is something they've been talking about for a very long time, but they just haven't done it until now.
Hmm.
So, my last idea is that I wouldn't mind them just going. I wouldn't mind them going a little bit bananas, just like just a spin-off, which is just completely different than anything else, like Resident Evil Beach Volleyball, Resident Evil Dating Sim, Resident Evil XCOM style. Like, these are all amazing ideas. I would buy all of them at the same time. They could be all the same game, even.
I think the only one of those that sounded interesting was Resident Evil XCOM style.
I would play Resident Evil Beach Volleyball.
Me too.
Oh, I know you would.
Leon has the hair for it.
Shut up. Chris has the Speedo for it.
I think those are the directions I think RA should take. I think I'm, like, in general okay with many different directions. I think what I least want is them basically like, okay, we're not gonna just make Call of Duty, Uncharted, like something like that, and they're just trying to clone another series. I think that would be super disappointing.
Well, that's what they already tried with RE6.
I mean, RE6 was still pretty unique gameplay-wise. I think. I
Did not feel that way at all.
I would agree. Like, certain bits are definitely inspired heavily from other games, like the over-the-top scripting. I think that is very much Uncharted. But when it comes to core gameplay, I don't think you can find any other shooter which plays like RE6.
Vanquish.
No.
Yes.
No.
Slides.
Do one melee in Vanquish, and you will see the difference.
I know. I have played the game.
Is this the point where you take turns? Shall Aquamatey start babbling?
I think if I want anything from RE6 to be transferred over to RE7 campaign-wise, it would be mostly things from Jake and Sherry campaign, because the way that was laid out felt the strongest to me compared to the others.
It was very varied. I like that.
And it felt I think, in my own opinion at least, it made better use of the co-op system. Like, you felt like you depended on your partner more than other campaigns. Like, each character had their own purpose in certain parts, and you couldn't progress without the other person doing what they had to.
Yeah.
And you could separate at points too, which reminded me a little bit of some RE5 points.
They also had a couple of levels which is really well designed. I think, like, the after they had escaped the facility and they're in this large mansion-esque area. I thought that was a really good level.
That's one of my favorite. I think that might be my favorite level of the entire game.
Yeah, I think
I
think for me too.
I wasn't a fan of hunting for those damn emblems in that level. Got tedious after a while.
I liked the pink bathtub water.
Oh yeah, that was amazing, and you could go kind of out of bounds there as well.
It was a very visually impressive level, I'll give you that, but I didn't like running around looking for those emblems. They got old
I mean,
quick.
they could have a different goal to having that kind of level, but I just like that level design. Like I really liked it was an actually open level rather than just corridors, which a large part of the game was.
That's a good point. I think that's why I liked it a lot too, because it was open. You could go wherever you wanted to first. Like, you didn't have a straight linear path. You could change it up a little bit if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And you could explore it freely for the most part.
Yeah. So, any other ideas you would for RE7?
Skkyzelda.
Wesker!
So they're gonna announce Resident Evil Wesker, like that is the full title for the next game.
Yes.
Wesker is the main character and the main villain.
One serious thing though is that I would actually like the game to be scary. I think RE4 was a little bit scary because I was new to Resident Evil, but ever since then it's just have not been scary at all. And that's been disappointing to me.
Can they do that though? I mean, it's been so long. Could they do that without completely rebooting it entirely with new characters and new settings?
Well, to me, Dead Space is action, but it's also scary. So
True.
you don't have to. I don't think you have to completely do it all over again.
Is it
You can
scary
still have
because-
action, but
Well,
have scariness. And,
see, the thing is, I was scared by the first Dead Space, but none of the other two.
I think the most scared I've been in a Resident Evil game has been the crocodiles in RE5.
Oh yeah.
I
Those are
still get
just
scared of
stressful.
those. So just put crocodiles in RE7 and we'll be fine.
Oh god, no! I hated those fucking crocodiles.
Just put them randomly in places they don't fit at all.
Oh my god, that's
Oh,
my worst
God.
nightmare. You never know when to expect a crocodile.
I don't think my opinion about this is very popular, but I would just, I mean, I would be completely okay with them just basically going the action route and just screw scary, because if RE actually becomes a good horror game, that's the point where I start to lose interest.
It used to be a good horror game.
I think it used to be
Remake.
I think it used to be an okay horror game. Like I think if remake has really good atmosphere, I just don't find it that scary, to be honest.
I think it was good in its time, but today's the horror thing is laughable, just
That's
because
true.
of how we've advanced. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think I agree with Sectus. I'm okay with it being actiony as long as they do it well. That's my thing.
I mean, my point of view is that like the main reason I really like the new R games is mercenaries. Like that is the primary thing I would be interested in.
By the way, I want to point out really quick before we get too far ahead. Action and shooter are very different things.
Yeah, I
I want
mean,
to make
yeah.
that clear.
I
I
think
don't want shooter.
Yeah, I think RE5 and RE6 are really good in the way that they put a huge emphasis on the melee. I think that's what makes them really fun to play, like with the core mechanics. So Aquamatey, you won't say the most obvious thing that you just simply want RE7 to be another RE5?
I was gonna say that eventually. That's like okay, going off of the spooky scariness that Skkyzelda was talking about, I think Lost in Nightmares, which is part of RE5, did the best job out of recent RE titles at making spooky scenarios.
Yes.
And it's still co-op too, like it's really strong co-op.
I want to go back to my original list and add another thing there. Like, I wouldn't mind a full-length version of Lost in Nightmares. Like, that was really
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
good.
Like seriously, I would be the happiest person in the world if it was either Lost in Nightmares or RE5 as RE7.
I think Lost in Nightmares is just a really good like combination of old school and like new school RE. Would be cool to see a full-length game like that.
I agree.
I will say though, I think there's zero chance they'll make a game exactly like RE5 because I think enough people complain that they won't use that exact gameplay style again.
It did sell really good though.
People just can't cope with the fact that you can't move while shooting. They can't cope.
I think my main issue with Resident Evil 6 is that it felt like a lot of wasted potential because like they had really good core mechanics in there, but none of the set piece moments of the game really took very good advantage of them. Mainly just a lot of boring, tedious slogs for the most part.
I think the campaign in R6 did a billion mistakes.
Yeah.
So
That's how I feel.
I mean, I think if they made RE6 with a properly made campaign, it would just be a really good game overall, instead of just being a really good mercenaries game as it is right now.
I kind of the way I feel about RE6 now after how many years has it been out now? 2, 3?
2.5, something like that.
Console versions came out near the end of 2012.
Yeah, like it was like October 2012, I think.
I would be, with the very small exceptions of the introduction of Piers as a character and Mercenaries itself, except for some of its mechanics like the enemy layout. I would be okay with pretending that RE6 never happened and just move forward from there. That's how I feel about the game.
Really?
It's sad and it makes me sad to say that, but I want to move forward. There were too many things I didn't like about RE6 and I don't want them repeated.
I mean, I think story-wise, it didn't mess up the lore that much. Like, it didn't do nearly as much messing up like the old RE games, like Code Veronica, RE0, and all those, which just made the storyline so insanely complicated for no good reason and had a lot of weird plot holes. I think RE6 storyline was okay-ish, really, to be honest. I don't know.
I don't hate it. I didn't hate it, but I just don't want it to move forward in that direction. I want it to move forward not pretending like that didn't happen, but just to go in a different direction than what RE6 did in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Can I say one thing about just touch on characters and how it will progress with characters before we get into a big discussion about characters?
Yeah.
Okay. I want RE7 to do characters justice because you know how much, everybody knows how much I love Chris and Piers, but it is painful for me to play that campaign because it is not fun to me. It's, I think, probably the worst campaign for me. It's a close race between that and Leon and Helena, but I just don't enjoy replaying that campaign at all. And the first time was painful enough. But I feel like Chris, the way they presented Chris in RE6 was awful. I hated it. He
Yeah.
was miserable the whole time, and he was so out of character. I know there was a reason for that, but I hated it. It
I
did
thi-
not feel like Chris.
I think they did a huge mistake of basically having his motivation in RE6 be the same one as his motivation in RE5, which is all about like the loss of his partners and stuff like that. I think like reusing that theme was a really bad idea because it was already done and it just felt like it felt pointless in RE6 to be honest.
So if they do keep using the same characters, if they bring them back, any similar characters from RE6, I want them to do them justice. I don't want them to just go off on this crazy personal crap like that doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's just like it feels like story just to be there. Like I want them to actually have development and not repeat the same thing.
Yeah.
RE6, it was story wise, I think it was like the problem might have been it took itself too seriously. Because I think one of the reasons I liked Resident Evil 4 and to a lesser extent 5 is that it had those moments of just outright silliness, like midget Napoleon or punching the boulder. That just sort of like, yeah, oh yeah, okay, this is still balls to the walls, ridiculous Resident Evil nonsense. Whereas Resident Evil 6, it didn't really have anything like that, I felt.
That
Yeah.
might be true actually.
Yeah.
It is.
Because
It
RE5
is.
had Excella.
It is weird though because I don't think any of those elements in 5 were intentional. I think they were just trying to be serious and then they just ended up being really funny because of it.
Super serious boulder punching.
I do want to say one thing, like what Icewave mentioned in chat reminds me that, like RE6, it does not have the best storyline of any game. Well, I mean, to be honest, any RE game doesn't have an amazing storyline like compared to other stuff. But I think,
Hell, I can't think of many Capcom games that have really great stories.
well, there's a couple like the Phoenix Wright series, Ghost Trick, like those are actually incredibly amazing storylines.
Well, okay, yeah, those are the exceptions. But like when it comes to like their main sort of triple A, if you'll forgive the use of the term, they tend to be largely forgettable or really silly stories.
Even though like the storylines aren't that very great, I think they do in general a really good job with character design. Like I think just about all the new characters in R6 were really good. Like Helena Harper, Pierce, Jake, Sherry. Like those were really great new characters. I thought.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I liked Helena and I liked Piers and Jake was okay. And that was this 6 was my introduction to Sherry because I hadn't played the past games with her in it. But I loved her.
And actually,
She probably
just go back a little bit again. Like R6 storyline wasn't great, but actually had some. It had some really good stuff in it somewhere. Like I think all the dialogue between Sherry and Jake was pretty good overall. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason I said that campaign was my favorite. Like that's the one I would actually voluntarily replay.
Yeah, I'd agree. Jake and Sherry campaign was the best in RE6.
I guess we could just all just all agree that R7 should just be like Jake and Sherry campaign.
Well, pieces of it, yeah.
And he finds out his father is actually alive, but
Yes!
he's really a clone.
Oh god.
That's where Skkyzelda comes in. This is where the
Yay!
Wesker can be reintroduced.
Oh, dear.
Jake is not actually Wesker's son. He is a long lost clone that doesn't age.
Oh.
And he
God.
finally found his real DC Douglas voice.
Now this is starting to sound like a Resident Evil storyline.
Oh boy.
And this reminds me of another point that I really think it's about freaking time Capcom starts bringing back side characters because it is a shame they only get used in one game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think Ryman has said what his ideal RE7 would be.
Oh boy. That's a really difficult question to answer because I'm also probably gonna get some what's
I have my
Flack.
claws ready.
Don't worry about it. Just tell us what you.
because as you all know, of the action Resident Evils, 4 is my favorite
Yeah.
because
I'm still your friend anyway.
that thing, like that campaign was, I felt like it was paced so well, and like all the set piece moments that you fought your way through were really memorable, to the point where they ended up reusing the opening village sequence in RE5, more or less.
Giant statue Napoleon.
Yeah, like that game was absolutely completely bonkers, which sort of added to my entertainment. So, but that's a really difficult sort of inconsequential thing to. Well, no, that's not the right term. It's really
okay.
difficult to
Gather your
describe
thoughts.
this, because it's like I'm not sure what I want, to be honest, because
There's so many options. There's so many things to go off of.
I think it's easier to say what I don't want.
That could also
Rather
be a
than
real
what I
long
do.
list.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
like-
want it to be like Barbie.
Well, the main thing is that, as I said earlier, I found a lot of RE6 to be a boring, tedious slog to play through, the campaigns at least, with Jake and Sherry's being the highlight, and Chris and Piers and Leon and Elena just being, ugh, no.
So if they make an RE7, what should they take from RE4?
You know,
Bingo?
I like. No, well, not necessarily. The thing about Leon in RE4 is that he was a badass, but he was also kind of an idiot, and it was sort of like a humorous juxtaposition there.
Hmm.
But I don't know if they could get away with that again. But it's more like the pacing and the set pieces.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, it's a really difficult thing to quantify.
Can I say something else about RE4
Oh.
versus RE6? In RE4, you felt like, okay, I'm alone. I am stranded. There's no one else to help me. Everybody that I come in contact with keeps dying. You know, I'm utterly alone and helpless. And you don't get that in RE6.
That's actually kind of
Well,
true.
I mean, did you get that feeling even with Ashley with you half the game?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, take her, please. I don't want this burden.
Oh, wait. There is one specific thing about RE4 that I would like in the new game. I just remembered. The treasure hunting system and the upgrade system. I didn't like the skill point system in RE6 at all, and like the whole finding of treasures, combining them together and selling them, and using that money to upgrade weapons. I really liked that in RE4.
I would take that system 4 and 5's upgrade and treasure system over 6's. I agree with that.
I think I would just go
Oh.
further back. I would just prefer something like just something like remake, where you just find weapons in the game and they are how they are. But I don't know.
You don't want upgrades?
No, I just don't think it adds anything meaningful to the gameplay. I think it's just like it is just like another way to just see numbers go up. Essentially, I just don't think it's meaningful.
Well, okay, if they did do an upgrade system or anything with weapons like that, similar to 4 or 5, I just want to make sure that they have a new game plus, which they didn't have in 5.
That's
Or
That's
not,
really-
not a new
Wait,
game
they had
plus,
a new
but
game plus in 5.
I mean like a fresh slate new game.
Oh
not new
yeah.
games.
I mean, yeah, that is one thing which disappointed me about 5. Like I really wanted just new game without the plus.
And what we mean by that is your inventory carried over into the next game, no matter what. Like you would always have the same inventory.
Yeah.
The reason I like that system in RE4 is that it added to your sense of progression. I felt like as I was progressing through the game, I was getting more powerful, and I kind of like that. Where I didn't really get that from RE6 at all.
Hmm.
The upgrades felt like they did nothing.
I think it's just like the way Remake does it instead, because like once you do the puzzle for getting the Magnum, that is definitely a very sudden increase in just like feeling powerful, instead of just like spending money to just make a number go up 100 and you deal like 20% more damage or something like that. But that's just me. What Skkyzelda was talking about reminded me of one thing about the entire thing about being alone. Like, would you guys want R7 to still be co-op?
I want it to be. The only way I would want it single player is if they make it the best single player experience I've ever had with Resident Evil.
Yeah.
I don't want to be disappointed by it because then I'll just lose interest in the game extremely quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I actually didn't mind the fact that RE4 was single player only, and I felt like this focus on co-op sort of it negatively impacted the single player experience. So I actually wouldn't mind a single player only game
I think
if it
I'm
meant
with
it resulted in a better game.
I think I'm with Aquamatey that I would personally prefer co-op, and I know I'm in the minority when I say that I wouldn't even mind like with RE5 that if you play single player, you have an AI co-partner which has the same limitations as a human partner. But well, I mean, there's no chance we'll see that again, even though I would want it.
Yeah, too many people complain about that, and I loved that too. Like my RE5 was my first game in the series, so I didn't really have any standards for an AI partner in the series. But I thought Sheva, the first time I played it with a co-op or an AI partner, I loved it. Like it was a great experience.
Yeah, I think still RE5 is the best co-op I've had in a game, because I just think they were really smart with how they placed the HUD. You can see the HUD of each player. You can see like what your partner was doing, like what they're picking up, and when you use your inventory, you would see the inventory of both players. I thought that was like extremely well made.
I'm nodding so much right now. I agree. It's the best co-op game I've ever played. I say it all the time. That's my favorite co-op experience I've had.
And also, if they do make like an remake style game, I think it would be really interesting to explore co-op in that in that kind of game, like kind of like what I did with R0, but just have like a human player as your partner. I think that could be interesting.
I agree. RE5 as a co-op game was pretty well designed. I just hated the fact that it felt like the single player experience was sacrificed to make that work, because I hated playing with the AI. It was terrible.
Yeah.
I guess they could have a compromise in RE7 where you have the choice of just like having zero partner in single player mode, then you are completely
Yes,
alone.
I would be so behind that if they could somehow make that work, because
Mm.
I, actually isn't that kind of how Dead Space 3 did it? Like it was kind of a different game in single player.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I haven't really seen the way Dead Space did it, but it's hard for me to imagine that. Like, how would dialogue work? Like,
Yeah, I think that would be a
Like,
big challenge for the
well,
developer.
there's sometimes he, when he's with someone, he adds lines, and when he's alone, then he just doesn't say those lines. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it
It is.
worked. Yeah.
hmm.
I guess we should ask the one big question we'll end up arguing about for the next hour.
Oh no.
What should the inventory system be like?
5.
4.
5.
Yeah,
I
I'd say
like
5.
space.
I don't like Tetris.
I don't like Tetris. I like real-time acting with your inventory, sharing it with your co-op partner, planning it out like that. You have plenty of space in between missions that you can organize stuff that you think you'll need. Kind of like an item box in Remake. You plan what you take with you. You have a certain amount of space. I love 5.
Yeah, I mean, One thing I really like about Five's inventory is that it just felt like another gameplay mechanic. Like especially in Mercenaries, you would always think about, okay, do I have space for this item? What else can I throw around? How should I place items? And you had to do it real time.
Yeah.
I just love that. I really love that.
The real time is the big highlight for me
Yeah,
because you have to strategize to make effective use of it,
yeah.
and that's a nice challenge. Where like after a few hours of playing, it became natural to most people, or to some people.
I will say though, like the first time I played RE4, I did actually enjoy the inventory system. I just think that like the more I played it, the more cumbersome I found it, and also once I've played RE5, I just thought, oh yeah, this is just better.
Ryman, will you accept it when I say that I would like RE4's inventory a lot more if you didn't have to spend so much time actually physically arranging and rotating objects to place them? Like that's the biggest thing that bothered me.
They could
And the
have like
fact that it wasn't real time.
they could have a button to just automatically order items.
That'd make me more okay with it.
Yeah, sure, I could get down with that. The people who don't want to sort out the inventory, they can just press the magic button, and people who do can just do it manually if they want. Yeah, that's a good solution. Best of both worlds.
And
Although
what if-
I think Snips makes a good point. For's inventory, I don't know how you would make that work well in a co-op game. Like if the next game was single player only, I think I'd want For's inventory, but maybe Five's inventory would be better if it was still a co-op game.
Yeah, I mean, I do not see how you could get 4 working in co-op, because you basically get to a point where your partner says, I have to go play Tetris for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if it'd be even worse if that was like if it was still a pause screen, like it paused every time you access your inventory. That'd just be painful in
Yeah,
co-op.
I did not like that.
Yeah.
Oh well, here's another thing. How many slots do you think they could get away with RE5's inventory system? Do you think they could get away with more than 9 per player, or less?
Well, I think less would be pushing it. But
Less would be pushing it.
I think
Yeah.
I think they did a good like they did a smart thing in 5 where you have it so that key items take 0 space. Like you only have items related
yeah.
to just combat and stuff. And I think with that mindset, I think 9 works fine.
Yeah. And also it worked out nice with the layout, so left, right, up, and down are shortcuts.
Yeah.
And 3x3 worked for that.
And
The layout made sense.
they also made it nicely with co-op in mind. You could just very easily navigate to your co-op partner's inventory.
Yeah.
You will give me an egg.
Exactly, for that reason.
I think that is one of the things which disappointed me most about the gameplay in R6. Like the inventory just ended up just not mattering at all, and I found that really disappointing.
Isn't that true except for local split screen mercenaries?
Oh yeah,
or
that is
something?
so weird. If you play locally split screen, the inventory system completely changes. That is
That's what I didn't understand.
why can't you activate that for online play? Ugh.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, if you
In 6.
if you play locally, like both players will see the same items on the ground, and if one player picks up an item, they pick it up, and and you can then share items between players, and it is so weird. Like it is
That baffled me.
like RS6 is super baffling in that it's like technically it is actually super impressive. They just made really weird decisions. Like it is same thing with like the 4-player co-op story intersections in the game and the age hunt. Like those are really technically impressive. They just weren't well designed.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other major points we haven't talked about.
Well, you guys didn't really say too much about characters. Like, what characters would you like to see?
Wesker.
Well, aside from that,
Oh.
I think
What
I
playable
would be okay with
characters?
just about any character really, but I think I would prefer returning characters over new characters, especially returning side characters. I think that would be really neat.
You know, I would like it if the playable characters were side characters from past games, like characters that didn't have a huge role, or Sheva, or Piers, or Excella, just like side characters like that weren't like main focus of each of their games. But the characters like Chris or Leon or or Jill or any of those kinds of characters, if they showed up in the game like on the side, like not you could maybe play them for sections, but maybe they just intersected with your story path. Like you visited them, but they weren't the main idea of the campaign.
Yeah, I think that
I
would
would
be a
be
really
okay
neat
with that.
idea. Yeah, I think that would work.
And that would be a really good way for them to bring back a lot of the characters. Like it'd be a nice opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh and Sheva just intersecting with your campaign somewhere. That would be really nice. Like
Be awesome.
if Sheva's not going to be playable, if she shows up in any way, not in a text file, that doesn't count. But if she shows up in the game, I would cry happy tears. Like that
Aw.
would be enough for me.
Yeah.
I guess they could make an excuse for Josh and Shiva if the mission of whatever playable characters are on involves them going back to Africa for whatever reason.
Well, I feel like that wouldn't be so far fetched just because, like, in the story of RE5, like, Africa was used as a test bed for experiments by Umbrella. So, like, there's a ton of potential for stuff to go
Although, I
wrong
mean,
there.
you could say that just about every part of the world. Like, they had test facilities all over the place according to the RE lore.
Oh, I'm not so much aware of that stuff.
Just about every RE game ends with some kind of Umbrella test facility.
Would you rather them proceed the timeline forward, or would you rather them, like, go back and explore some of the things that they've mentioned in the past? Wow, his hair.
Yep. I mean, how much of a time gap was there between Raccoon City's destruction and RE4 again? I can't remember the exact time. Was it 6 years? Because, I mean, that's a long time for absolutely nothing to happen. I feel like there's potential with that section of the timeline.
Well, they have tried to explore that timeline a little bit with, like, Umbrella Chronicles. Although, like, I think most people would just forget about that thing.
See, I didn't know that because that game was not very fun to play.
Wait, did they cover different parts of the timeline that wasn't covered in other games? I thought it was just for stuff that had already been covered.
They had new stuff in both the Chronicles games. Like, they had
I didn't know that.
like, one episode was called The Fall of Umbrella. It was set, like, I think 1 year before RE4, and it was Chris and Jill basically doing silly stuffs. It was very good. And they also took elements from the movies, which made me go, ugh, even more. I think Dark Side Chronicles also actually took place, like the new scenario took place before RE4, like it was Leon and Krause teaming up, both goody buddies.
By the way, I want to clarify really quick. I mentioned this like 10 minutes ago now, but I think I mentioned that Sheva. I listed Sheva as one of like the side characters that wasn't like the main idea of their game, but I just meant that in the way that she was a main idea of RE5, but aside from that, we haven't seen her, and there's a lot of characters that have been treated that way.
Yeah.
Characters introduced for one game and then we don't see them or hear of them again.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant by that.
Oh, perhaps there's one thing we should go over. Considering the cutscene you got in RE6 for finishing all 4 campaigns, do you think it's likely that they have plans for Jake for RE7?
No, I don't even think that they had plans for that when they finished the game. I think that's just like an Easter egg they put in there for the sake of it. I do not think it was supposed to be foreshadowing for a future game.
The first time I saw it, I took it as foreshadowing, but it was just really weird.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of it right now.
I think the primary reason for that scene is just to show that Jake is now more of a good guy and he's just like fighting BOWs.
That actually sounds alright. I wouldn't mind seeing where that goes.
I think one obvious thing we haven't talked about yet, which is a pretty big topic, like overall about R7. Do you think R7 will be a reboot, like a complete reboot?
I'm
It's
on the fence.
But this isn't about what you want. This is about what we think Capcom will do.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Like, and considering the reception to 5 and 6, it's possible they could go down that route. And I'm not sure how I feel about that myself.
I would be personally super sad because I just really like the universe and characters they have for the RE games. And I think because of Revelations 2, I do not think that will happen because with Revelations 2 they are like reintroducing characters and everything, and it is still set in the same universe.
Yeah.
So then I think it would be weird for a mainline RE game to just be a complete reboot. And maybe they've also like
Actually-
considered stuff like DMC, which did not pan out as they had planned at all. Like maybe they're now thinking, okay, maybe reboot wouldn't be the best thing to do with a major franchise.
Yeah, I guess.
I'll be very surprised if RE7 is not announced this year, because it is now 3 years since they announced RE6, and they did say they would want to try to get like a smaller gap between RE sequels. And I think it's also just about time in general that Capcom start announcing more games to be using the new engine, because they only have one game announced so far, and that is kind of odd.
I forgot about the new engine. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Panta ray. It's like a manta ray with pants.
Jesus.
What game has used that so far?
Just Deep Down, that weird free-to-play fantasy game that still isn't out yet.
Yeah, and I think the game is also only technically announced for Japan so far, which is also doubly weird.
And also only for PS4, no other platforms.
Yeah. But considering RE6 already looks pretty good, especially in cutscenes, like RE7 on Pantaray, that might look kind of insane.
I don't agree, by the way. That RE6 looked good. I'm still bitter about that.
I mean, it does look worse than RE5 in certain ways, but like especially in cutscenes, I think the lighting is really good, and the characters look really good.
The characters do look good, except Chris's nipples should be more defined in his
Oh my
kimono.
God.
I'm just saying, it was 2012. Come on, you can have detailed nipples. Jesus Christ. Catch up with the world, Capcom.
Okay, so that is top of Aquamatey's list, like wish list for RE7, bet-looking nipples.
Oh, here we go.
Oh no, Aquaman.
See? Zach, this is podcast tool can show it, so can your game.
Ooh, maybe they'll use this as the engine. It'll be like a slideshow, like a choose your own adventure thing.
With bonus game mode quiz time.
Oh yes! Oh my god, that'd be good.
Do you think RE7 will be specific to one console, by the way?
No,
No,
no.
Resident Evil is too big. Like
Good.
it would sell very well on many platforms, and Capcom is aware of that.
Although I think a better question is, will it be new gen only, or will it be
It'll be
cross
new
gen
gen only.
like Revelations?
I want it to be new gen.
I think there's no way it'll be a cross-platform. If it is, I think it would have been announced already. And if it is, they
Yeah,
would
I
be
think
using
so.
empty framework, not Panther Ray.
Yeah, I think it'll be new gen only as well. Like, I think by the time it comes out, it'll be 2016, maybe 2017. And I think by then, the 360, the PS3 will have been eventually finally abandoned by most developers.
I think Capcom will have very few cross-platform games going forward.
Yeah.
Actually,
You mean cross generation?
yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Is that what that means? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I meant that. I can say one thing, like a little bit of news, and at the end of this RE7 podcast, like this is fairly big news, but I'm too lazy to make a podcast specifically about it. Capcom had a very small leak, like 1 or 2 weeks ago, where they had some news about if you pre-order remaster on PS4, you get this unique theme, and they had a preview of the theme, and in the preview, they had a like a game thumbnail for RE0.
Oh yeah.
And then they
I remember that.
Really?
fixed that in just a couple of days afterwards, and they removed that. So that makes
Huh.
it sound like they are already in the process of also remastering RE0.
I'd be happy with that. I'd finally
Yeah.
play it.
Yeah, I would be okay with replaying a remastered version of that game.
And
Those
I
were
would
the sounds
continue
of
to ignore it.
Oh.
I did not like RE0 at all.
Aw.
One thing. Let console players also enjoy the benefits of 60 frames per second and no mercy.
No mercy, yes. But that goes back to what I said about mercenaries allowing more than 5 enemies on the screen at the same time.
I think I would be okay with them targeting 60 FPS, because that makes it more likely that my PC can run the game at 60 FPS at my native resolution, because new gen games is making my PC really sad.
Aw.
Yeah.
Really sad.
Yes.
That's like Chris.
He's also sad about my PC.
Yep, he's disgusted.
I feel sorry for console players who always seem to get the short end of the stick despite paying more of everything.
And one more thing for the few people who are still listening so far. Remaster is getting released next week for PC. Should I record yet another playthrough of the game for my channel? And if so, what should I
Yes.
do in that recording, like in that playthrough? What should be special about it?
It should be
Yes.
60 FPS.
Well, that's
Should walk
obvious.
backwards.
That'd be slightly awkward.
You should run when you pick up the fuel canister, bitch.
Oh my god. I think I've run plenty enough.
I don't have anything else to say.
Well, RE7. It's a thing. It'll happen this year. I know it. It'll be announced. I don't know when. It'll be announced. I, FluffyQuack, predict this. I am the all-knowing sock puppet.
Oh.
Listen
I
to
don't
my
have high
words.
hopes, but I hope it's good. I hope it's great.
Oh, I can't see.
I'm scared.
Stop blocking.
High textured nipples. Only if it's Christo, not Leon.
Resident Evil Beach Volleyball!
Yes.